Hello guys, now I will show you first two ways of making a reference image to stay on your monitor. I have two monitors and this is not very relevant to people that have two monitors, although when you have the image here in the monitor itself near your sculpt, it's easier. So I will show you two ways. First way is this. This is PureRef. Maybe some of you have already used this. This is an application called PureRef. Like pure reference, but PureRef, it's very famous, and you can see some lessons for it in internet and stuff. Of course, you can go here by right-clicking, mode, always on top. You make sure that this is on because by default it's not, and it will be on top of your window, ZBrush window. The other way that I use mostly is from ZBrush. So how do you remember how we start a file in ZBrush? We just open ZBrush and then just double click here, press no, and we have this sphere. And now we have everything here. We open subtool, we open geometry just in case. How to put a reference file here, a reference image? We go to the texture here in the upper part, texture near tool and stroke, and just click it. And then go to import. We will use, don't just be intimidated by this complex thing. We use import, just import, and then we go to our file. We import this, for example. I made it with black background in Photoshop. Why? I will show you in a minute. We open this and then nothing happened. And you say, what? But you go again to texture and then click it because it's here. And you notice it's with transparent background because the textures in ZBrush, the spotlight is this add to spotlight. When we add something to spotlight, it will go on the screen. Let's add it. Just press this button here, this here, add to spotlight. Press it, and now it's here. Magic. And it's with transparent background, very important, because it was black. You don't have to do this, you know, by transparent background, but whatever. So now what we do? It's covering most of our area. Not good. So we can move it by just placing our mouse inside the circle, but not in the center. This center is moving the circle itself, just the center. But outside, between the center and this area, is that we move the image. We can scale it by going to this icon. So basically, here we use only this icon for scaling. Just press it and just drag with the mouse or with the tablet. And again, I'm using tablet. Now I'm using mouse for this, but I can use the tablet also. Yeah, now I'm using the tablet. And we make it this big, for example, and put it here in the side view. We can always, of course, move it. And now we got to get rid of this circle here. We can hide it, for example, but it's not very good. We just press Z on a keyboard. So remember, press Z to hide this, and now we have our reference. It's there. So if we press Z again, it will be shown. If we press Shift Z, everything will be gone. If we press Shift Z again, it's there. So we have this. This is our reference. We can start working now. But one thing, very important, we will start working, for example, with the move brush, and we can start doing some stuff. Let's remove the floor and just do the head. We'll start with the move brush, and let's remind ourselves how to navigate everything, how to navigate the interface. Dragging, just clicking outside the model. Inside the model will be something with the brushes, but outside we will rotate. We can rotate. Alt clicking and dragging, we will move or pan, not the model but the camera, because if you see the floor, we're moving only the camera. And then with Alt click and then release Alt, we can, and then drag, but we are holding down the mouse or the tablet. And I recommend you to use the tablet if you plan to use ZBrush, because tablets are pretty cheap these days. Wacom tablets are recommended. and even the cheapest Wacom tablet is around maybe $50–60, I'm not sure, but in my country is around 60 euro, I think, so it's pretty cheap, and it's working, and it's doing a great job. So even the cheapest, but let it be Wacom. Don't get another brand. It's doesn't work. So we will get to our, for example, standard brush and start working, and nothing happened. And you will say, what? Why is this? I will tell you why. When we put our spotlight here, our image, we have to go and do one more thing. Very important. Go to brush here, alpha, then brush, and then go to the fourth option, create curve dipped samples, and disable spotlight projection. Very important. If spotlight projection is on, most of your brushes will not work. So maybe only the move brush will work and barely anything else. Now we will go ahead and start sculpting the head, and I will explain you Dynamesh. Dynamesh is the basis in ZBrush these days. Before Dynamesh was introduced in ZBrush, like a few years ago, maybe 6 years ago, I'm not sure how much years was that, but still Dynamesh is immensely important. You can do whatever, and I've shown you how Dynamesh works. Basically, when we turn on the polyframe here and drag, you'll see that the polygons get messed up. And also, this for the beginning, this kind of polygon density is not good. So we'll go to Dynamesh and go, for example, for the default sphere, I start always with 44 resolution of Dynamesh. So 44, press enter, and now just drag a mask outside the model. You can drag it just a little bit, just tiny mask. You can drag it big mask, but don't drag it until it goes to the model. Just drag it somewhere. So we move, drag, it's simple. So I'll Control Z a few times because I don't need this. But also one thing, it's not that important for you, but when the model is near this spotlight and with Dynamesh, the spotlight cuts the Dynamesh. Is very interesting. So we have to bear in mind, it's a bit, you know, you have to Control Z. Sometimes you don't see it and it's a bit tricky. So when I Control Z or get or undo, the resolution became bigger. So I will go 44 again, press enter, it's 48, no problem. This is my resolution. And now I can start working with move brush, for example, and start making the shape of the helm. And you will notice that I always turn and pan and do stuff like this, which you will find difficult maybe in the beginning, but don't worry. With practice, everything will be okay. You know, you have to just practice. You have to push yourself a bit in the beginning, and then everything will be fine. Now I want to make this kind of a line in the middle. I will go to my high polish brush, which is 5. And I will remind you, if you don't have this interface again, with the brushes here and with the shortcuts, you just have to go to Preferences, Load UI, and load the CFG, I think was the file, CFG file, from the project folder. So, from the project files folder. And then, with the high polish, I'm just making this. Just basic things, easy, move brush. I'm working slow because I want to show you everything. And I wanted to show you the Dynamesh. And from the Dynamesh window, we are using only Dynamesh, resolution, and polish sometimes. That's it, nothing else. Project, no. Groups, no. Maybe groups sometimes, but I barely use it. Maybe in the last year, I made a lot of models, never use this. Sub projection, no. Add sub, and no. Create shell, no. No, just Dynamesh, resolution. So that's why we have this here. Dynamesh, resolution, and those things here. So don't be afraid by, don't be frightened by all these menus in ZBrush. We are using in a base sculpting just a tiny bit of them. I mean, not too much. So now you see I'm panning I'm rotating constantly, so I can make sure that I have a good model. And I always start with Dynamesh. Dynamesh is my bread and butter. It's very important. You can make everything with Dynamesh and then refine it with other methods. But Dynamesh, super important. So we have to make sure that our face here, face area, is a bit smaller, and the other area is a bit bigger. Yeah, I know my English is the best, of course. And yeah, I should write pure ref because I cannot pronounce it probably right, but it's okay. It's okay because I think if someone wants to learn, they will understand, or you will understand. So basically, with high polish and move, and sometimes smooth, and smooth, remember, is with shift. Shift, smoothing, alt, moving around, control, masking, and control shift is polygroups. But polygroups we will discuss in other video, of course. You will see. I like the videos to be about some things, and then we will talk about, and we'll repeat them, and everything will be okay. Because by repetition you will learn. And yeah, Dynamesh we will use a lot in the beginning. When we have the overall form of everything, we'll stop using Dynamesh. But for now, we'll use it a lot. So I will go to my standard brush and then make sure I have this kind of holes. How I make them? With Dynamesh, with standard brush, but with Alt. Because Alt is just making different the brush to sub, you know, the brush itself is Z-add. Most brushes by default are Z-add. When you press Alt, they become Z-sub. So if you go Z-sub and without pressing Alt, they will act like by default with Alt. Now with Alt, they will act like default brush. So Control Z and Z-add. Okay. Now, what we have here is a head. And it's looking kind of good, but of course in the beginning nothing will look perfect. We'll have to figure a lot of things, proportions, forms. We have to be careful not to rush it. And we have this kind of head. And it will work, no problem. But probably we will do some else. For example, we can do this with the clay tubes brush, which is number 2. And remember, if you load from preferences and from config, load UI, if you load this CFG, which is in the project files, you probably will have to still make those shortcuts here. And, you know, I will even say how to make these shortcuts. Now, you go to the thing that you want to make shortcut of, then press Ctrl Alt and click on it, and you will notice in the top corner, press any key combination to assign custom hotkey and stuff. So while our mouse in this area, we can press a key combination. For example, this is 1, but it's 1, so I won't press it. But when you press it, you will assign 1 to this. But if we remove the mouse, hotkey node operation cancelled here. So that's how you make key combination. It's very easy. You don't have to be enable customized or anything. But remember one thing again, a hot tip. If you are making a key combinations, short keys or hotkeys, when you close the brush, it will ask you, do you want the key combinations to be saved? Press yes. And you will be okay. So now I will show you one more thing. Just one brush that I like to use that it's not here, but I use it always for horns, for arms, for legs. Very good brush. I press B in order to get my brushes, or I go here in order to get my brushes. And then I go to this brush, which is curved tube. This brush. This brush, as you can see, looks like a guy with the big mustaches and eyebrows, big eyebrows. So this guy is very good. What it does is making something like this. We can make horns from it. And we can also work on it until we have to accept it. But be careful, because for example now the horns are too big. How we can shrink them? It's a little bit interesting. So when we are here near the spline, this is a curve, near the curve, our brush is blue. When we go outside, it's red. While it's red, we can make it smaller and then go here and click on the curve. And then it will be, if we make the brush smaller here and click, nothing will happen, This is just for making this horns. And then our brush will be this size, This is different sizes. So if I want it to be smaller, I will click again the bracket key and I will make it smaller. And then I can work on it like this. And of course, we can always work on it more. The base thing in ZBrush is to have something from which to make something. What I mean is, we have this, and we can make these horns with very much ease, because this is very much resembling the form. It's not exact, but it's very close. So, how do I accept this? Many people are having difficulties accepting curves. It's very easy. Just click on the model. Just click without alt, without anything. Just click, and it's accepted. Yes. So I go to my move brush, and then I just move this up like that. Very easy. And what I like to do also is when I have separate objects, like the horns are a little bit separate from the helm. So what I like to do is, while they are masked, because we have inserted this mesh into the other one, and now the other one is masked, so we can move only this one. So this is masked. We will use that. We will not unmask. We'll go ahead and split those two into, because we have now only one subtool. We'll split it to have two subtools, one for the horns, one for the helm. It will be much more convenient to work with. Okay, and when we make Dynamesh for the horns, if they are connected here, there will be one mesh, which is not exactly what we want. We won't have control. So better to be different mesh. So split unmasked or split masked, it doesn't matter. It will split them, basically. So now we have the helm, and we are on it here. You'll notice we are on the helm subtool now. And very important thing that I think I didn't say, how to change between the subtools with alt click, alt click, alt click, alt click, alt click, or from here. Of course, we can see this is our horns in the thumbnail. This is the helm. So we are on the horns. I will continue to work on the horns like this. And of course, I will smooth here because we have too much of a stretch geometry. And we can try Dynamesh it at 48. Why not? I just made a mask, just a quick mask, and it's Dynameshed. And now I will smooth it with Shift. I'm pressing Shift and just dragging, just pressing and dragging, and it's smoothed. And now we can try to inflate it someplace. For example, with 6 is our inflate brush. You can see here inflate. And I will go with the big inflate brush and go a little bit like this, a little bit away from the model, and just inflate. Because if I inflate near the model, it will be like this. And I want it to be better, so I inflate a bit away from the model with a very big brush. And this will give me more control without breaking the model and making it blobby and stuff. That's important. Another thing, pretty important, but many people are not saying it. Dynamic mode for the brushes. I will show you that in a minute. By default, most brushes have dynamic mode enabled like this. Dynamic mode, what it does, I don't like it. So I always disable them. What it does is when we go away from the model, our brush remains the same size compared to the model. So here it's big, here it's small, but it's not good to work with, you know. I like to disable dynamic mode, and now whatever the brush I made, it will remain the same size no matter where the model is. And for now, that will be all. In the next video, we will start working probably again with Dynamesh, or we will see what. But this is starting to look good. So see you in the next one.